Jimmy Kimmel gets suspended by ABC for spreading misinformation, with liberal hosts on other networks now fighting to get him back on air. Also, Vice President JD Vance finally responds to the hateful comments of Democrat Representative Jasmine Crockett. We've got a lot to discuss, but real quick, make a difference by liking this video and subscribing to help get this message out to the people. President Trump celebrated Jimmy Kimmel's late-night show getting suspended by ABC. In a post on Truth Social, the president said that Kimmel had zero talent and that other hosts like Jimmy Fallon and Seth Meyers should be suspended next. Now, I can't show you the clip that got Kimmel suspended for obvious copyright reasons, but here's how he delivered this joke. He ridiculed how President Trump grieved Charlie Kirk's death by talking about something completely different. Now, the problem is that the joke wasn't what many took issue with. It's the way he started it. He wants us to believe that Tyler Robinson, the man who murdered Kirk, was a right-wing Republican, claiming that Robinson was MAGA. Now, I have to ask, is Jimmy aware that this kid is dating a man who's transitioning to be called a woman? Because that wouldn't be very MAGA of him. And of course, other networks and hosts are going crazy about this. Watch how former Biden press secretary Jen Psaki described Kimmel's show getting canned.
The news about Jimmy Kimmel, I think, is a pretty watershed moment. I think we all need to be talking about. We actually, and it's not just a media story. I know you agree with me on this. It's not just a media story. It's a democracy story. It's a freedom of speech story. It's so many things. And I've been thinking a lot today about how I lived through years of answering questions from a lot of these network journalists, people who ask tough questions. Sometimes I was pissed off at them. That's part of what we do. And this is threatening that.
Democracy, huh? Funny that she should say that, because the last time the Democrats were in charge back in 2021, they wanted to control the media. Listen to Democrat sweetheart AOC talk about it here.
You know, I do think that several members of Congress in some of my discussions have brought up media literacy, because that is a part of what happened here. And we're going to have to figure out how we rein in our media environment so that you can't just spew disinformation and misinformation. It's one thing to have differing opinions, but it's another thing entirely to just say things that are false.
Now, I want you to listen to Joseph Moreno here, because he makes the most sense when it comes to Kimmel getting taken off the air. The fact is, late night TV has gone from comedy to politics, with many of these hosts using their shows to attack Republicans.
I don't think this is a legal issue. I don't think this can be pointed to the FCC or the Trump administration and say, well, this is about them going after Kimmel because of what he said. Personally, I think it's more of a cultural issue. And I got to tell you, look, I'm about as moderate a Republican as you're going to get. I'm from New York. I have not been comfortable watching late night television for 15 years. Because when you have conservative leanings and you're constantly mocked and you constantly feel like you're doing something wrong, you shut it off. You don't watch it anymore. And then what happens is it's circular. If the host doesn't have that audience, the host doesn't worry about keeping an audience like that. It goes in circles, and at some point, you get things like this.
With that narrative out of the way, I want you to watch how Scott Jennings destroyed the idea that they're putting in their minds about this killer, because they want us to feel sorry for Tyler Robinson, that he only shot Kirk out of anger for talking about trans people.
Talking about a love-torn child, a kid. This is probably his first real relationship, and somebody was disparaging the person that he loved. He sat on that building for 30 minutes before he took the shot. Why did he wait until the first word trans came up? Then he took the shot.
You think he heard it? He could hear it?
I think he could hear it. I think he also, I don't believe he was motivated politically. I think this was motivated emotionally.
Guys, the evidence here is overwhelming. He said, Charlie Kirk, I can't stand this hate anymore. I'm going to take him out. The testimony from him and the statements of his family, he had become more left-wing. He etched the statements that are made by the left about Republicans and conservatives and Charlie Kirk fascist on the bullet casings.
He made a joke about it in his last text.
Well, it doesn't sound like a joke to me, because someone's dead and about to be buried.
Well,
so it doesn't sound like a joke to me. So I'm just telling you, there is an effort. There was an effort all weekend long on the left to try to make this guy sound like he was a conservative. That failed. that was passed around all over the weekend. That has now failed. The evidence has now come out. He was motivated by hate. He was motivated by left-wing radicalism. He got mixed up with some trans ideology in his life. We'll learn more about that, I'm sure, when more evidence and testimony comes out. We are looking around the edges of this for something other than what's staring us in the face. Left-wing radicalism got this kid. He went up to a roof and he murdered our friend, and that's what happened.
It's absolutely insane that these liberals continue to gloss over the fact that someone was killed, and instead they either want to make you feel bad for the shooter or make you believe that he was a Charlie Kirk supporter, which doesn't make sense at all. The only thing they're avoiding to say is that they influenced this assassination with their violent rhetoric. And finally, Vice President JD Vance calls out one of the worst when it comes to dangerous language, Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett.
Well, I'd ask Jasmine Crockett, what is it that you want people to do when you call them Nazis? What is it that you want them to do when you call them fascists? What is the proper response when you say that Donald Trump and JD Vance and Charlie Kirk are threatening your safety? What do you expect people to do? This rhetoric is completely out of control, and it's part of this entire network of violence that exists on the far left. You dehumanize your political opponents. You fund paid activists to go and harass them and terrorize them. We've had a White House senior staffer just in the past week who has had actual representatives of the Democratic Party going around passing leaflets trying to get his neighbors to harass him and showing people where he lives, where his wife lives, where his young family lives. If that's not political violence, if that's not political harassment, I don't know what the term means.
And that's the billion-dollar question, right? Why are they doing this? They know that they're lying to the people, yet they repeat the same message over and over again, which could mean that they have a goal in mind. Now again, that's something that can be subjective, so I'm gonna leave the judgment to you guys. Let me know in the comments. As always, thank you for watching. Make sure to drop a like, subscribe, and I'll talk to you in the next one.